Hi, I'm Eli the Computer Guy, and today's class is Introduction to Data Recovery. Now, this is the beginning class of an entire track of classes on data recovery. So this class is going to be an overview of the concepts and things that you have to understand before we get into the real hands-on aspects of data recovery. The entire track will probably be somewhere between 5 to 10 hours long, and this will just give you a good basis of what's going on. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about the concepts and procedures if you lose a password or if a client loses a password. We're going to talk about file corruption. So the file is there, it exists, but whenever you click on it with Word or PowerPoint or whatever, it just fails. It won't go into it. We're going to talk about deletion. So somebody deleted a file. Can you get it back? Sometimes yes, and sometimes no. And we are going to talk about physical damage to the storage media. So what happens if the actual motor inside a hard drive dies? Well, you're kind of screwed, to be honest with you. I'll give you a heads up on that one. But we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about why it is so expensive to repair or get data off of a hard drive that's physically damaged. Data recovery is really pretty easy. Most of the stuff we're going to use is off-the-shelf hardware or software that you can download off the internet or that you can put together yourself. This isn't complicated. Literally within the 5 or 10 hours of you taking this track, you can go out and offer data recovery services, or if you need data recovery yourself, you can do it yourself. Everything that we're going to teach you today, you can reasonably bill out at either $100 to $500 for the data recovery services. So give me a second, let me set some things up, and we'll go into Introduction to Data Recovery. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is passwords. So the client comes to you and they say, I put in my password, I've put it in 10 times, but I can no longer get into this computer. This computer has forgotten my password, which of course is a load of bunk. And if you're a client listening to this, if you put in the password, passwords don't just get corrupted. They don't just get lost. They don't just, I don't know, passwords are passwords. I have never seen a password actually get corrupted. It just does not happen. So if the person lost their password, lost or got corrupted or whatever, there's a couple of things to do first. But before you go into the whole troubleshooting procedure, first, make them either put the caps lock on or caps lock off when they're putting in their passwords. A lot of times, and I've even done this, I'm typing in passwords really quickly, and I meant to hit shift and I hit cap locks, and so all the lowercase that was supposed to be lowercase is now uppercase, and vice versa. So try to have them log into the system, with cap locks on and with cap locks off. Also tell them, to try capitalizing the first letter, or try putting in the password multiple ways that they may not have thought about. This is what usually happens with people. People get so quick with typing that, like I say, either they put the cap locks on or they turn it off, or when they're not thinking about typing, like almost everybody does, you hit shift when you're starting a sentence or you're starting a password, you hit shift and then the letter. So the first letter is uppercase, and you just do that automatically. So they may have put that in as the password, and they may have continued to use that for years without realizing that they were hitting shift. And then all of a sudden, one day, they thought, oh, what is my password? And they were thinking about putting the password in. And so when they were thinking about putting the password in, they didn't hit shift because they were in a thinking thing. They weren't in an automatic process. So again, the first thing that you need to do is have them use cap locks on, cap locks off. Try the first letter with an uppercase, with a lowercase. See if that works. If that works a surprising amount of the time. That probably fixes 80% of the password problems. If that doesn't work, then you look at what you're trying to get into. If you're trying to get into a device, such as a router, or such as a BIOS password, so not the Windows password where you put the password in to log into Windows, but the actual BIOS password on a computer, Almost all physical devices allow you to reset everything somehow. So like with a router, if you forgot the password, you can push in the reset button, and after a minute, all the settings are wiped out. BIOS is the same way. A normal desktop computer, you can either take out the CMOS battery, or there's normally a little jumper inside the computer that if you do the jumper, it erases the BIOS password. The only problem you're going to have with this is that it's going to erase all of the settings that were in there. So things like boot order, sometimes hard drives, I don't know, weird settings that you may have put into the BIOS of the computer will be gone. If you do the reset with a router, all the settings will be gone. So it depends on what you're doing. If you're just doing this for a home client, that may not be a big deal. If you're doing this for a business client though, that may erase all of the port forwarding that you have, all the firewalls, etc. So if you're dealing with a hardware device, BIOS or router, etc., there is almost always a reset option. The only place that there's not always a reset option are laptop computers. The reason is because most of the manufacturers believe that if you put a BIOS password onto a laptop computer, it's because you want that laptop computer to be secure, that you realize it may get stolen and you don't want anybody to use it. So if you set a BIOS password on a laptop computer and you forget what it is, you may have to buy a new motherboard. That's not a joke, that's not being melodramatic. Realistically, if you set the BIOS on a laptop computer, password on a laptop computer, and you forget what that password is, you're probably buying a new laptop computer. Just keep that in mind. So that's physical devices. Now we're going to talk about the software. So Windows, like getting into Windows or logging into Linux or logging into an Outlook account or whatever. Generally, you can buy software that allows you to do this. Some of the software is free and some of it costs about $50. Basically, the free stuff is just as good as the $50 stuff. It's just a lot more complicated. So if you're really good with technology, if you're really good with computers, and you do a lot of password recovery or hacking, then it's worth your time to learn the free software because it's free, and you're a computer guy. You got to learn this stuff anyway. If you forgot your password, you're a normal user and you just need this one password back because you forgot it, then you should buy the software. Generally, password recovery software will cost you about $50 per license, and this will be a lot easier for you than try to mess around with free stuff. So basically, if you're a computer guy, there's free software, open source software out there you can use. If you're not a computer person, just pay the $50. It's a lot cheaper at the end of the day. So how does this software work? So if you're locked out of your computer, or if you're locked out of a program in the computer, how does the software go in and recover your password? Well, the first thing to think about is that it doesn't always recover the password. Out of the three ways you can get into a computer, or you can bypass or hack the password, only one of them technically recovers the password. This is something called a brute force attack. What this does is the software continuously tries to log in to the computer or to the piece of software that you're trying to get into, and it uses something called rainbow tables. It uses a dictionary to try to guess what the password is. So it'll keep hammering on the password, on that little password field, and trying to log in until something finally works. Now this could take an hour, or this could take weeks. Basically why it's called a brute force attack is literally this piece of software is just continuously trying to log in with every single option that it can find. The second way that you can try to get your password is if the password is not properly secured within the computer. Passwords are supposed to be kept in a secure format so that you can't just go in and hack them or find the passwords. With some software, the computer keeps the password in a format that can be read if you know where to find it. So some of the password, and this is the password recovery software, will actually go in and it will look for where that password is stored on the computer. It will find that password and then it will give it to you. So that is where it can actually recover the password and give it to you. The last way you can get into the computer is having a piece of software that will just reset the password. So this is especially big with Windows computers. Whether you have Windows 7 or Windows Vista or Windows XP, if the administrator account has a password and you forget what it is, you can put in one of these pieces of software and it will simply reset the password for the administrator account or any other account that you want. So you just put in the software, you boot up, you say I want the administrator password to be this, and then it is that. This works fine for almost everything. The one thing that you have to remember though is if you decided to encrypt your hard drive or encrypt anything on your hard drive, Windows uses the password as the key to decrypt the information that is encrypted on your hard drive. So if you reset the administrator password and you have encrypted files on your hard drive, you may be able to log in as the administrator, but you no longer will have access to those files because those files are secured and they're encrypted, and the password has to be the same to get back into them. So that can be a problem. So basically, if you're dealing with a lost password, if you're dealing with a device like a router, a switch, a DSL modem, if you're dealing with the computer's BIOS, there is normally a reset option, whether it's popping the battery out or whether it's pushing in a little button that will reset all of the settings on the device. If you're dealing with a laptop computer and the BIOS password was lost, you're probably crap out of luck. You can do a Google search. Sometimes the manufacturers have really complicated ways of resetting a BIOS password on a laptop, but that will probably only actually help you about 25% of the time. Most of the time, if you lose the BIOS password on a laptop, the laptop is worthless. Then, in order, if you're dealing with software, so you're trying to get into a Windows computer, a Linux computer, an Outlook account or such, you can use software that either uses brute force. So brute force just keeps hammering on your login and randomly selects usernames and passwords and just keeps trying to log in until something works. You can have software that will find your password. This is where if you have software on your computer that does not store passwords in a secure format, then this software will go in, it'll just find where your password is, it'll then tell you what your password is, and it'll just give it to you. Or you can reset the password. This is where you have software, it can't read what the password is, but it can reset it to a new thing. So if you get locked out of your computer and you forgot what the password is entirely, you can use one of these pieces of software. It'll reset either the administrator account or your account's password. You can then go in and just use whatever new password that you've told it you want. The only thing with this is if you do use one of these pieces of software that resets the password and you're using this for a Windows operating system, if any of the files on that hard drive are encrypted, once you change the password, you will no longer be able to access them. So you will be able to get into the computer, but you will not be able to access those encrypted files. So that's the password. Remember that there are free open source versions of all this software that'll help you. That's very good. It's good quality stuff. It will work, but you've got to be a computer guy to be able to use it. Or for the password recovery or breaking into a computer, there are a lot of options on the internet, like I say, for about $50. So let's take a minute to talk about file corruptions. So this is where you have the file. The file exists, it's sitting on your desktop, it's sitting in your My Docs folder, I don't know, it's sitting somewhere out on the internet or in a file server. So it exists. You've got however many megabytes of a file. But when you double click on that file, nothing happens. Like if you use Word and you try to double click on it, it'll say there's a file corruption or the file cannot be read, etc. What you need to realize with file corruptions is many times the information that you care about is still within that file, and you can still access it if you can fix a little part of the file. So what happens is when you double click on a file to open it, not only is there all the information that you're expecting to see, But the software also stores a lot of information that it needs. It'll save things like what version of the software created the document that you're looking at. How is it encoded? Just a lot of techie things that you would never think about. Well, sometimes when you're saving the file or when you're modifying the file, those top little heading parts get corrupted. So your information, the information that you really care about, is still there. It's still fine. It's all nifty dandy, whatever. But that top part, that heading part that the software needs in order to be able to open the file, has become corrupt. To fix file corruptions, basically all you need is a piece of software that will go in there and try to fix your corruptions. Whether you have a PowerPoint file that's broken or corrupted, or Photoshop, or Excel, or PowerPoint, there's a piece of software out there for almost any file that's become corrupted, and 90% of the time they will be able to recover the file for you. Most of this is pay-for software. There is some open source software out there, but most of the time it's going to cost you about $50 per license. If you're looking for the software to do this, if you have a corrupted file, basically what you can do is you just do a Google search and you say corrupted PowerPoint file, or corrupted Photoshop file, or corrupted whatever you have. Most of the time, the people will allow you to download a trial version of the software and actually run that trial version on your document or PowerPoint or whatever. Many times it will give you a little preview pane, so it'll say, hey, if you pay the $50, we're showing you that we can recover your information. So if you have a file corruption, just realize most of the time the information that you care about is still there. It's just a little problem with the header. There is software out there that can fix almost any corruption, but you're almost always going to have to pay for it. It's probably a $50 thing. Before you pay the money, download the preview or the trial version and run that on your document first, just to make sure that it actually can recover your document. That's really all you need to know about file corruption. So we've talked about passwords now, and we've talked about file corruption. That's all pretty easy. Now, what about if somebody deletes a file? Either they accidentally deleted the file, or they were careless, or whatever. They just deleted the file on their computer. Now, 90% of the time, this is easy. This is a cakewalk. Recovering deleted files is no big deal. You set a program, you have it run, and in an hour or two you come back and get the results. This can be the case, and this is mostly the case 90% of the time. What you have to realize is normally when you delete files or folders on your computer, you don't actually delete the files or folders on your computer. Truly deleting files and folders takes a lot of CPU and RAM power, a lot of power from your computer. All the computer does then, so it doesn't have to use all this extra energy to delete files, is it deletes the index or the pointer to the file. So your file is on your hard drive, right? It doesn't delete that file. What it does is it deletes the pointer that says that file exists. Why the computer does this is because then, if it deletes the pointer, then the computer is no longer worried about the file, and is no longer worried about trying to save the file. So if the computer needs the hard drive space that file is on, it will overwrite the file as it goes. So let's say you delete a file, and then you don't do anything else. Maybe you go on the internet, but you don't really save anything, you don't install any software, etc. Well, then the file that you deleted is actually still on your computer and will be there probably forever, because it's still just sitting where it was on the hard drive. It was simply the pointer to the file that the computer deleted. Now, if you delete the pointer to the file, and then you install, let's say, a 3 gigabyte video game, you get World of Warcraft 5 or something, and you install that onto your computer. Well then, if the computer needs the space where that document is, it will just overwrite. So it will just put information right over where that document was, and at that point your document is basically deleted. It is gone. So the big thing to remember, if you delete a file on your computer, is the pointer to the file is deleted. The file itself is not deleted. So all you need is either an inexpensive piece of data recovery software or actually a free version. There's a free piece of software called Recuva, R-E-C-U-V-A. You can download it at recuva.com. That will go through and it will look for complete files and folders that have been deleted. So it looks for the documents, the pictures, etc. And if it finds files that it can recover, it will tell you. And then all you do is you select the files and folders you want and you recover them, and basically it just recreates the pointers. So when the person deleted the file, all the computer did was delete the pointer to the file or folder, not the file or folder itself. So when this undelete software scans your computer and finds those files and folders that are still intact, and then you can just recover them. Like I say, there's the free version of Recuva, or I've also used WinUndelete. That's worked very well, but it's a $50 piece of software. Now this works, like I said, 90% of the time to recover files and folders. It will not work if somebody has, like I say, installed software or they've saved things onto the hard drive and those files have been overwritten. It will not work. Or if the person is using a secure data deletion. So if you have the Norton Internet Security Suite or McAfee Internet Security Suite, or downloaded one of the free file shredder pieces of software, if you have a piece of software on your computer that does a secure deletion, then what happens is not only is the pointer deleted, but where that file is, that secure software will simply put in random ones and zeros into where that file was located, and that effectively actually destroys the file. So you cannot recover a file that's been securely deleted. So just keep this in mind. Recovering deleted files and folders is incredibly easy. You can use Recuva to do it for free. The reason is because when you delete a file or folder on your computer, you simply delete the pointer, not the file or folder itself, and so you can just go in and just recover it. If you've overwritten the file or folder by installing or saving software, then your file or folder is gone. Or if you use any of this secure delete software, then your file or folder is gone. But deleted files generally are very easy to recover. If you have a client or if you yourself have lost a folder, the main thing that you need to do is just stop using your computer. Because remember, if you save anything, it may save right over the file or folder, picture, or video that you're trying to recover. So if you deleted a file or folder by accident, just stop using the computer entirely, and then go in with one of these undelete pieces of software and get your files back. So we've talked about passwords, file corruptions, deletions. All of this stuff is this stuff that if you were a computer consultant, you can probably get paid good money to fix. Or if you're a client, somebody will expect you to pay good money to fix these things. Like I say, all the stuff we've talked about before, you can charge normally between $100 to $500 for these services. It's pretty lucrative. It's a decent amount of money, but it's not a huge amount of money. Well, where we get into the big money, where we get to where things can get atrociously expensive, is physical damage to the hard drive or to the medium that houses your data. So again, what if the circuit board on your hard drive fails? What if a motor on your hard drive fails, or the ARM inside? During this track, we're going to have a couple of classes on how to try to recover data from failing hard drives. Not failed hard drives, failing hard drives. Because if the hard drive is failing, there is still the possibility that you can get the data off of it before it fails entirely. If you have a hard drive that has failed entirely, it's going to be expensive to fix. And if you're a little mom and pop shop, or if you're a consultant, don't even think about trying to fix it yourself. as Eli the Computer Guy, the repair shop, we were doing a lot of data recovery, so I looked into, what would it take to fix hard drives, to actually go in there and fix hard drives. And it was going to be about $20,000 in startup costs. What you have to realize with hard drives is if you do open up a hard drive, the inside, all the platters and everything, nothing can get in there. Not a speck of dust. If a single speck of dust gets into the hard drive, it can just mess everything up. So in order to fix an actual hard drive, you have to do it in a real clean room, just like you see in the movies or NASA or whatever that. You have to have an actual clean room in order to fix hard drives. Not only that, but the manufacturers of hard drives don't really want them to be repaired, to be honest with you. When I was looking, because I thought, well, maybe I won't go in and crack hard drives, but I'll replace the circuit boards. So sometimes you pull a hard drive out of a computer that's not working, and you look at the circuit board, and you see there's a little burn mark on it. So you go, oh, the circuit board is bad. I'll just replace the circuit board, and that'll fix the problem. What you have to realize, though, is there's no real one place to go to buy these circuit boards. And the manufacturers don't always use the same circuit board on the same model. So if you're thinking I have a model number, Maxtor 3G5N, I will simply go on eBay and buy another Maxtor 365N and use a circuit board from that. The hard drive manufacturers may have actually used a different circuit board for the same hard drive. All they care about when you buy the hard drive, you're buying a 500 gigabyte hard drive. So as long as your hard drive is 500 gigabytes, that's all they care about. They're not worried that all the parts in the two hard drives are identical. So if you're looking at a row of hard drives in Best Buy that have the same model number, made by the same manufacturer, they may actually have different parts inside of them. So you can't just mix and match parts. It doesn't work. So again, as this track goes on, we are going to talk about, and we're going to have classes on how to recover data from failing hard drives, from failing devices. If the device itself has failed, has physical damage, the circuit board's gone, the ball bearings are gone, whatever, then repair is very expensive. That's when you should send it off to a specialized data recovery shop, and that's when it's going to cost $1,000 to $3,000. And I have seen $3,000 repairs. But the reason is because they need actual clean rooms. They have to just go through a whole mess to get any of their parts. They need highly specialized people to do all of this. And so, there's a reason why physical damage costs so much to fix. So that was the introduction to data recovery. This just went over a broad view, the concepts and what you need to think about when you're going in to recover data for a client. So if they lost their password, the first thing to do is get them to retype their password a million different ways to just see if they're fat fingering it or whatever. Most of the time people haven't really lost their password. They're just doing something dumb, honestly. Also with passwords, remember a lot of people don't actually put in an administrator password. So if you're using Windows operating system, Windows 7, Vista, XP, try to log in or try to boot up the computer in safe mode and log in as the administrator. A lot of times the administrator account is actually blank. And so before you do any of the other password recovery, you can just log in as the administrator and change the user's password. That actually works a surprising amount of the time. If you're dealing with a device, so the BIOS on a computer, router, etc., there's normally a reset option. Just look at the manual to see what the reset option is. It's either usually pushing a little button or pull out a battery. It's no big deal. Some devices, though, like laptop computers, if you lose that password, it's done. It's garbage. Buy another one. We talked about file corruptions. So file corruptions is where most of the information or the information that's in the file is fine. There's no problem with it. But the first part that the program needs to be able to open up the file is messed up. Like I say, maybe the version's incorrect. I don't know, something in there that tells the software how to open the document. is corrupted, you can go out and usually for $50 you can buy a piece of software that will fix that corruption in the header and allow you to get back into your document. Again, this works about 90% of the time. Always make sure to download the trial or preview version of the software before you buy it, because what will happen is that trial version will recover a part of your document. So if you lost a Word document, maybe it'll recover page 1 and 2 to show you that it can recover the entire document, but you can't get the entire document until you pay the money. So just use a trial version before you actually plunk down that $50. We talked about deletion. Deletion is generally very easy to recover deleted files. You use either Win Undelete, which will cost you about $50, or Recuva, R-E-C-U-V-A, which will be free. And you can recover the deleted files. The reason is because the computer deletes the pointer to the file, not the file itself. The file itself is fine. There's no problems with it until you install software or until you save something on the hard drive, and then it may get overwritten, then it may get deleted. So if you accidentally deleted files or folders, don't do anything at all with that computer until you go in with the recovery software and get your files back. Because if you go onto the internet and start surfing the internet trying to find something with the computer, with the deleted files, that may actually overwrite the files you're trying to get back. If you or your client uses a piece of software to securely delete files or folders, then the information is gone forever. The secure data deletion actually goes in, not only is the pointer to the file deleted, but the file itself, all those bits are randomly set to either ones or zeros, so the file itself is gone. We talked about physical damage. Again, we are going to go into classes about failing hard drives or failing devices. If you have a failing device, many times you can get the data off. If the device has failed, then the data is probably gone. Whether you have a flash drive or whether you have a hard drive, if it's physically failed, there's physical damage, burned circuit boards, ball bearings, etc., then it's an incredibly expensive repair. So you're looking at $1,000 to $3,000. This is not something just the average mom and pop shop can do, because honestly, it's $20,000 just to get into that game. So if you're thinking about this, if you're a consultant, you're thinking, maybe I'll do physical hard drive repairs. This is probably out of your league. And if you're a client looking to get your hard drive fixed and it's had a physical failure, just realize this is why it's gonna cost you $1,000 to $3,000. And so that's the introduction to data recovery. The main thing, if you've stuck with me this long, is to remember, whether you're a client or whether you're a consultant, the best way to not have to worry about data recovery, whether it's failed hard drives and $3,000 repairs, or whether it's deleted files, and etc., is having a good backup system. We had a class, Introduction to Backup Systems. Go take that class, because if you have a good backup system, then you don't need to do all this data recovery. Then you don't have to worry about $3,000 repairs, or you don't have to worry about deleted files. If you have a good backup and recovery scheme, then you don't have to worry about all this. And you really don't want to have to worry about this. Like I say, this whole track, we're going to teach you how to recover data, if you need to do it. But you don't want to do it. Basically, this is the last straw. This is when all other options have been exhausted, and so you need to go into data recovery mode. You should have a good backup plan. So have a good backup plan. So again, I'm Eli the Computer Guy. This was Introduction to Data Recovery. I look forward to seeing you soon at the rest of the data recovery classes.